It is going to be a long off season for the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of decisions to make, but Howie Roseman will work his magic. The question is, who should stay and who should go? What is going on, everybody? Welcome into A to Z Philly, your number one home for Eagles coverage. Hit the thumbs up button if you enjoy these videos. Subscribe by hitting that red button down below and hit that bell so you don't miss any of the offseason coverage. We'll be breaking it all down here on the show. RB back, bringing you once again the latest from the Linc. And today is free agency talk, free agency discussion. Unfortunate way to end the season, and the unfortunate part about the business is that you will not have the same group going into next season, right? Guys are going to leave. Now that you went on a Super Bowl run, guys are about to get paydays. That is the nature of the job. And it is up to the Eagles front office and, more importantly, Howie Roseman to get the job done, fulfill the holes, right? You know, draft well, and just get this team ready to go back for another journey to the big game. So we'll see how it goes. I do have to be honest, though. I am putting all my trust and faith into Howie Roseman because, you know, I was one years ago who wanted him out, who thought it was time for him to go, but he has proven a lot of people wrong, including myself. And Howie Roseman knows what he's doing. Obviously, he's a wizard when it comes to the cap, but, you know, his talent acquisition, his signings, his draftees have been really, really good the last couple years. So we will see the approach that he takes. But I want to talk today about who should stay, who should go, who is priority, because the Eagles do have a lot of free agents. Who do you think should be around for next season and going forward? Let me know down below in the comment section. Before we get into my list, shout out to the sponsor here of today's show, BetMGM. Enjoy all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up using bonus code ATOZPA and receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, player props, and daily boosted odds specials. And with BetMGM at your fingertips, every play and every game matter more than ever. Find out why BetMGM is the king of sportsbooks. Sign up today with bonus code ATOZPA and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you do not win your first bet. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Pennsylvania only. New customer offer. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay, let's talk about the Eagles free agent list. It is a hefty one, man. It is a hefty one. Here it is. We'll go down, read some of the names. James Bradbury, the likes of Fletcher Cox, Dillard, TJ Edwards, Marcus Epps, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Brandon Graham, Javon Hargrave, Linval Joseph, Jason Kelce. All right, you got Robert Quinn in here, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, a lot of pieces who could potentially be on the move. Who do the Eagles need to keep? What is the priority? Well, here it shows them with their previous annual values, all unrestricted free agents. And once again, you know, we've seen how he worked some things before. He's moved some contracts to the back end. And I'll be completely honest, there is a lot of work that goes into this in terms of Howie Roseman. And there's a lot that I probably don't know in terms of all the technicalities, right? Like you can move money around. You can do things with the signing bonuses. There's a lot that goes into this. And I'm no cap wizard by any means, but I do have, you know, general ideas and, you know, at least general understandings of this stuff. When it relates to the Eagles, though, they have a lot of unrestricted free agents. And again, these guys are going to get paydays. That's how it goes when you get to a Super Bowl. I wish they could have finished it off, but, you know, there's other players out there. You have to fulfill the holes. Now, what should the hierarchy be in terms of keeping these players? Here's my idea on this. Howie Roseman, if you're out there, you have to keep CJ Gardner-Johnson, okay, 25 years old, and I believe that the first priority this offseason, other than Jalen Hurts, let's put that out there as well. Jalen Hurts is not an unrestricted free agent, but he is going to get a massive contract extension. We covered that in the last show, and, you know, it's already confirmed. It's just a matter of when rather than if, and he's about to get a payday, which will directly affect some of these guys because there's not enough moolah to go around. You know what I mean? When Jalen Hurts gets $50+ million a year, it's going to be hard to retain a lot of these players. But anyway, CJ Gardner-Johnson was acquired before this past season for a draft pick, a late round draft pick from the Saints. That was probably one of the biggest mistakes. Even Sean Payton was on record recently saying he doesn't know why they got rid of him. You have to keep CJ Gardner-Johnson. You got him for a steal. He has been absolutely incredible. He was leading the league in interceptions until he got injured. He even had a big hit there at the end of the Super Bowl. CJ Gardner-Johnson has a lot of upside. He's young, and he could potentially be one of the best safeties in the league in the near future. And he's not making a lot right now, but let me tell you something. He is about to get top dollar for the position. I think CJ Gardner-Johnson is the number one priority for this Eagles team, and I think Howie will lock him up for however many years it is. The second priority for me is the defensive line. Who will you keep? Well, you're looking at Fletcher Cox. You're looking at Brandon Graham. You're looking at Javon Hargrave, right? And this is where it gets tough. This is where the heartstrings start getting pulled on, right? Is Brandon Graham going to stay with the Philadelphia Eagles? I actually have a feeling that somehow he'll end up signing a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal with lower value. I just don't see BG wanting to go anywhere else. He even said it recently. I want to continue playing, but he loves Philadelphia. This is where he's been bred. This is his home. He doesn't want to go anywhere else to play, and I understand it. A lot of Eagles have had similar ideas before. I do think Fletcher Cox is on the way out, and that takes me to priority number 2. I think Javon Hargrave has to be the guy. 30 years old. He had double-digit sacks this year. His best year by far, and he's gotten better and better since being signed a couple years ago by the Philadelphia Eagles. And, I would expect him to get, similar contract, maybe even a little bit more based on how he's played. He's been rock solid. He doesn't get as much recognition as he deserves, probably because of how stacked the Eagles D-line is. This was my favorite defensive line to watch by far ever in my entire life. There was so much talent. They were historic. Obviously, it didn't show up in the big game, but man, they had a lot of playmakers. They were special, and Javon Hargrave just does his job. He shows up every single week. He is 30 years old. You have to watch. You have to kind of forecast, when his value will start to dip. When will his production start to dip? And then I look back at a guy like Fletcher Cox, and, he's been one of the greatest Eagles, right? And he's been here. He's been bred here, and it just sucks. It sucks seeing Fletch kind of go off the map like he has been, right? I think he had 7 sacks this year. His sacks have been a lot lower. Obviously, in prior years, he's faced double teams and triple teams, but there was so much talent this year. I expected Fletch to play better. I just don't think he has anything left in the tank. And this is why years ago, people were calling to trade Fletcher Cox. Zach Ertz was the one that got traded, and somehow, some way, Fletch stayed with the squad. And it was good to see him get back with another Super Bowl run, but imagine what you could have gotten for Fletch a couple years ago. I mean, they were talking about this guy like he was one of the best 2 defensive linemen in the game. And he probably was. He was probably the best DT behind Aaron Donald. And, Fletcher Cox, I mean, I just don't see a way he stays because somebody will pay him. Somebody will give him that value, especially since the Eagles got all the way to the end. But it will not be the Philadelphia Eagles, in my opinion. So I think Hargrave is the second priority. You have to keep him around. If you can keep BG, that'd be great. Robert Quinn, Ndamukong Suhs, Linval Josephs, I think they're on the way out. It will be important, though, to have depth on this D-line. Howie loves to build from the trenches, and that's what his philosophy's been, and I could see the Eagles drafting a few D-linemen, especially given the fact that guys like Jordan Davis, he was a little bit underwhelming, let's be honest. He's a great run stopper, but can he develop that ability to pass rush? That's going to be huge going forward. I mean, you used a first-round pick to get Jordan Davis. Maybe with more opportunity, it'll come. But this past year, I did not see it much at all. The last one that's a huge priority, and I skipped this on purpose, but the corner position, James Bradberry. I have not had as much fun as I had this year watching the Eagles corners play. I've been calling for years and years and years. The Eagles need to get another sufficient corner on the other side of Big Play Slay. And let's be honest, Big Play Slay was a bit underwhelming in the second half of the season. I'm going to go out on record and say I think he was playing injured with something because when Slay's at the top of his game, man, he is good. And he's one of the best in the league, a 5-time Pro Bowler. But having a guy like James Bradberry, who you got for essentially nothing, for him to come in and be as comfortable as he was and play that way and resurrect his career, it was a special thing to see. Bradberry was honestly one of my favorite players on the defense this year. You never heard his name. He was underrated, but damn, he had a good season. And when you look at Bradberry and Slay, it's going to be hard to replicate that. You're going to have to find one of these cheaper corners, maybe draft a guy. I don't know. But Bradberry, losing him is going to be tough. And I do not see a way that the Eagles can retain Bradberry and CJ Gardner-Johnson. You're going to have to pick one or the other, in my opinion. If they could find a way, if Bradberry would take a discount, that would be huge. But, he's earned it. He's earned it, getting, again, to where the Eagles got. Bradberry is about to get a top dollar pay, and it's not going to be with the Philadelphia Eagles. They just can't afford it. Finally, we got away from the Rasul Douglases, the Jalen Mills, the Bradley Fletchers, the Kerry Williams, guys like that. It was just tough to watch in years past, and I was so thrilled that the Eagles finally had a dynamic duo at corner, and you saw the effect. You saw the effect on the defensive side, and especially with C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Marcus Epps, who's another free agent. I could definitely see him coming back. TJ Edwards is probably going to end up leaving. I could love and hope to see Kaiser White back. I thought he had a solid year. Underrated pickup last offseason early on. Would love to see him back in midnight green. And also the running back position. I'm a Miles guy. I'm a Miles guy, but it's unfortunate to say I think his time is up here. The Eagles just do not historically pay their high draft pick running backs. And Miles Sanders had a Pro Bowl year, right? He is about to get a payday. And I just don't see the Eagles going out and paying him, especially when you look at the dynamic of the Eagles offense, when you look at how Jalen Hurts is so involved in the run game, and Miles Sanders will never be a featured back in this type of scheme, in this offense. They run a committee. Kenny Gainwell has shown a lot of upside. Boston Scott's a free agent. And I'm here to tell you guys, I would sign Boston Scott. I would do everything it takes to bring him back, both as a complimentary running back as well as a punt returner. I think Scott, the giant killer, obviously, but, whenever you give that guy opportunity, he makes things happen. And I would love to have him as a second or third back behind Kenny Gainwell. And maybe the Eagles draft a guy. I've heard Bijan Robinson, but I think that would be too high for that. I don't see the Eagles drafting a running back high. We'll get into more of that talk as we go forward. But, I think Miles Sanders' time is up in Philadelphia. It's been a great ride. I wish the running backs would have shown up more in the Super Bowl, even though the defense was the issue. But, I just don't see Miles being that guy here. And I've always called and preached for him to be more featured, but it just will not happen when you have all that talent on the wideout and you have the dual threat of Jalen Hurts. I just don't see it happening, especially with the fact that Hurts is about to get paid. Maybe other players around the league will now look and see the fact that the Eagles have a really bright future over the next couple of years. Maybe they look and scan and say, you know what, that Eagles team has a really good core and they have a really good quarterback, and, well, they're going to end up probably getting back sometime in the next few years. So maybe this is now a destination as well for other guys who are maybe willing to take a little bit of a discount to come play with a well-structured roster. But with that being said, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Give me all your thoughts down below in the comment section. Who's your number one option must-keep free agent for the Philadelphia Eagles? Give me all your thoughts. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and like always, I will catch you all on the next one. Peace.